So at the moment I am 1 week into my 30-day photography challenge. Today is actually day 8. What I wanted to do today is a little bit different. I wanted to talk about my editing process. So if you haven't seen on my Instagram channel, I am taking a new picture every day, editing it and uploading it to my Instagram. My Instagram, if you want to go and check them out, is linked below. But I wanted to talk in this video about my editing process. Now this is something that I'm still learning a lot about, but I in particular wanted to talk about the software I am using and how you can go from taking a picture to this, straight out of camera, raw, to this. And I think this software is incredible for it. It is so easy to use, and there's a free trial as well, which is what I'm using. I've not yet bought this software, but this software that I use is called Luminar 4. Now there are multiple photo editing softwares out there. You might be familiar with Lightroom. I've used Lightroom before on the mobile version on an iPad, and it is brilliant. But with Luminar, it's just one payment. You don't have to pay a monthly subscription, whereas Lightroom you do. So I thought I'd give Luminar a chance and found a free trial, and I absolutely love it. And I think I'm going to be sticking with Luminar instead of Lightroom, but that's for another video comparing the two. I just wanted to show you how you can go and take a picture like this and turn it into this. So let's get into it. So I'm going to record my screen on my MacBook here, and you can see here that I have a picture that I took the other day as part of my 30-day photography challenge, and this is me standing on a motorway bridge looking out over the traffic, and I took it at a 1 second shutter speed. Let's just actually have a look at the info on it. Yes, so it was a 1 second shutter speed at 31mm on my lens. I used the Sigma 18 to 35mm lens, an ISO of 100 and an aperture of f.4, and you can see it looks alright. There's a bit of blur in the traffic, which is exactly what I wanted. I tried to stand as perfectly still as I could, so I stayed in focus, and it looks okay. But the sky just looks a little bit boring. There's not much depth to it, and I'm pretty sure that we can get this looking a lot better than it already does. And there's a couple of tricks in Luminar that are just incredible, but I'll get into that as we go. So what we're going to do is we're going to go up here to the edit tab, and this is pretty much what you will be used to in Lightroom if you use Lightroom. So you can see here you've got all these different headings, so we're going to click on light, and at the top you can obviously see you've got your histogram. So these are basically just your normal light settings. So what I tend to do is start with the highlights and the shadows. So I usually, in a shot like this where it's quite bright in the sky, I'd bring the highlights down, and already you can see the definition in the sky. I did shoot this picture in RAW, so there is a lot of information there to play with. If you're shooting JPEGs, you might start to get a little bit of grain in the image. Most cameras do shoot RAW photos now, so if you can shoot in RAW, definitely shoot in RAW, because it gives you more opportunity to be able to mess around with it in post editing software. So as I said, I usually take the highlights all the way down to get rid of all that overexposure in the sky. It already looks a little bit less washed out. I'll then bring up the shadows, and you can see if I click on this little eye button up here, you can see the difference it's already made. It already looks a lot flatter, which is what we want, and it already looks like there's a bit more depth, like you're looking into the distance. So what I then like to do is I like quite a lot of contrast in my images, and this smart contrast button slider, sorry, it does a really good job. If I take the contrast all the way down like that and then I move it up, that's obviously too much, but it just adds a little bit more definition into the picture. So when you're out, even if your picture looks a bit dark when you're shooting it on your camera, don't worry about that, especially if we're shooting in RAW, because you'll pretty much be able to do whatever you want with it. So already that has made a huge difference to the picture. It's added a bit of definition into my coat, and I think we're going to leave that there, and we're going to close that tab. In fact, what we might do is just warm it up just a little bit. So again, already looks a lot better than it did. There's a bit of definition in the sky now, which is already enhanced it. So we're going to go down now to this AI enhance. Now this is something that in Luminar is absolutely amazing, but Luminar has got these AI features where it kind of looks at the picture as a whole and it will change it to suit I don't understand how it works. It's all algorithm based. If I just do this, you can see the difference. And then if I turn it on and off, it's enhanced it where it needs to be enhanced, and it does it all through AI features. I think that's a little bit too much there, but then you can also do the same with the sky, and you can see it enhancing just the sky, so it's focusing purely on that region of the picture. So I'm gonna leave it as that for now. And then the AI structure, this just adds a bit more definition into it. And here you've obviously got your color settings, so you can increase the vibrance. I think just about there is all right. My jeans look very blue now. I'm going to decrease the saturation just a little bit. And then again, if we go up to the I button, you can see the difference it's made already. It's huge difference. Now the landscape enhancer is one of my favorite features in Luminar. I absolutely love it. So what you can do is you can increase this slider here called golden hour, and it just adds a little bit of color. Now if you know about photography, if you're watching this video, I'm guessing you probably have some knowledge on it. The best time to go out and shoot pictures is golden hour, when the sun is either coming up or going down, because you get that nice crisp golden look. And that is something that you can emulate with this slider here. So that's what it's like originally down at the bottom, and then if you move it all the way up, you can see it adds those orangey colors into it. So I think I'm going to leave it around about there. And then you can also dehaze it. Again, if you look at the sky, this is really starting to make the sky burst out, and if you look what it did look like, big difference already. So that is the basics of how you can mess around with the light in a picture in Luminar 4. Already we are making a vast improvement to this picture. Then we're going to go over to the creative tab, and here is where it starts to get exciting and you can do whatever you want with it. I'm going to start with a sky replacement. Now this is something you can do in Photoshop or other photo editing softwares, but here it is made so simple. It is unreal. Now if you have done this in Photoshop, you do have to go around and usually mask out the area that you want to move and then create another layer and chop and change it all like that. But with here, all I'm going to do is click on sky selection. You get these different choices, and you can upload your own as well, but it comes with these pre-built in. So let's say we're going to go for a dramatic sunset, let's say number 3, and that is it. That's it. It's changed the whole sky. So if I turn it off, there you go, and that's with. It's incredible, and it's already picked out the little changes in the trees. It knows where to put the sky. And then you can go in and change all of these settings as well. So horizon blending, you can add a little bit of blending in so it looks a bit more realistic. You can relight the whole scene to match the sky, which is just incredible. It takes into account the colours of the sky, and then it changes it into the rest of the image as well, so it doesn't look out of place. Now I should just say as well, when you select these skies, they are never going to be the same. They are always slightly different, which is incredible. I don't know how it does it. It uses AI, as I mentioned before. I know I'm not making any sense, but what it will basically do is look at your image and then try and adapt the sky to look as best as it can in your image, and then you can go and change it even more if you would like to. So you can add some atmospheric haze, just like this, and you can try and blend it into your picture as much as you can. So there you go. You can change the temperature, so you can warm it up a little, the exposure, so if it comes out too bright you can take it down, and you can pretty much do whatever you want with it. Defocus it if you needed to just change the background. If you've got a nice blurry background and an in focus subject, it works perfectly. I think that though there is a little bit too much, so I'm going to take it right down to about there. I think there works. So if we have a look at what it looked like before and after, I mean the difference is just incredible. It's unreal. So you could leave that there if you wanted to. You could be very happy with that, but then what you can go and do is you can add in sun rays, which is amazing. So let's look at where the sun might be. I think the sun is somewhere probably behind, in front of me. I'm looking directly towards it. So then you can turn it the amount up, and you can change the sun rays length. And what is good about this is it will, if you see where it is there, it knows to go behind my head. It will read the picture and it knows where to put it. I think obviously I've put it on for too much, I was just trying to demonstrate, but it knows what is in the foreground and what is in the background, so you can keep messing around with it. If you wanted it off the picture and get some sun rays coming into the side, you can do. You can turn the amount up, obviously that's way too much, but you can just mess around with it and put it exactly where you want, and then if you turn it on and off you can see the difference. It just adds a little bit of light coming into the side of the picture. For this one I'm going to leave it off. And what I like to do as well is I like to add a LUT. Now what I use is, you get all of these pre-built in ones that you can choose from, which are really good and you can do a lot with them. I'm going to use one of my Peter McKinnon LUTs. I like Kodak Killer, so I downloaded these off Peter McKinnon's site, and then you can change the amount of the LUT and also the contrast. So I think that's a little bit too much, contrast as well. And obviously then you can change the saturation of it as well. So you get all these different settings with LUTs as well. If we look at what it looked like before and after, there is a huge difference. And I don't know about you, it looks a little bit more exciting than the original. So if you shoot a good quality picture and you know you've got your exposures right, what you can do in post now is just insane. So that is what you can do in Luminar. So let's just very quickly do one more. I'm going to go back into my tab of pictures, and this is one I did earlier. This is a picture of Holly. I'll quickly let it load up, and if we look at what it looked like before, that is the raw image straight from the camera. Now it's pointing directly into the sun, but if you expose for the brightest parts of the sky, you know you can pull the shadows out after, which is what I did with this one, and I turned it into this. And it was so easy. It literally took me 5 minutes max to edit that picture, and it just looks incredible. So what you can do with Luminar is unreal. I know there are a lot of other things you can do with photo editing, but I just quickly wanted to talk about how I edit my pictures for this 30-day photo challenge. As I mentioned, still haven't bought this Luminar. I will be going out to buy it when the free trial runs out, because I absolutely love it. And Luminar as well do have another piece of software coming out called Luminar AI, which is, I think, a separate piece of software to Luminar 4, but it's a next level up, so it'll be interesting to see what that's like when it is released as well. So I absolutely love it. I hope I've explained that as clearly as I possibly can, and hopefully inspired you to go out and take some pictures, download a free trial and have a play with Luminar as well, because I absolutely love it. Part of me does feel like, though, when you're changing this sky, does feel a little bit like you are cheating and turning it into something it isn't, but I think it's amazing. I think it just adds to the pictures, which, even though it does feel like you're cheating, it just enhances the picture so much that you can't help but not do it. And yeah, I absolutely love it. Should we try and add a sky into this one? I don't know if it'll work because of the trees. Which one shall we choose? Let's choose a bright blue sky. So we click bright blue sky, and yeah, it's not really worked very well because the trees in the background are blurry. It's not picked them out very well, so we'll keep that off for this one, because I think that looks a little bit more realistic, because that is the actual image that I took. So in some situations the sky replacement will work really well and it will make your picture look even better. In some situations like this one, it won't work, but hopefully that gives you an idea about Luminar 4. That is it for this video, and I shall see you all very soon in another one.